Hello, my friends. I'm so excited to share with you the second Yoga Sutra. This is the second video of a short series speaking about understanding the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and how we can apply them to our daily life at all times. So if you haven't watched part one, I would recommend that you do so. And otherwise, we'll just dive right in. So this particular sutra, it comes from chapter 1 or book 1, sutra number 2, and it's probably the most commonly spoken about sutra in the West. And it says, yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind, or in Sanskrit, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. And so yes, this is a very commonly used sutra. And my teacher, Sahaja, at the Hridaya Yoga Center, he really encourages us to make sure we consider the following two sutras, so numbers 3 and 4. And you can find those in part 3 and part 4 of this series. I want to highly recommend that you consider those sutras because they are a follow-up to this one, and they help to put it in a much deeper context. But for now, let's talk about yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. So yoga, of course, we're defining yoga, we're giving a context for what we're speaking about. Chitta is the consciousness. Vritti means whirl or movement, and nirodha means cessation. Or that something is letting go, it's dropping away. So yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. And I mentioned in part 1, but I'm looking at Iyengar's copy of his interpretations of the Yoga Sutras. I find them to be very rich and also understandable. And I just want to give you a quote here on page 50. And actually his interpretation, his translation of this sutra says, yoga is the cessation of movements in the consciousness. He says, yoga shows ways of understanding the functionings of the mind and helps to quieten their movements, lending one towards the undisturbed state of silence, which dwells in the very seat of consciousness. So this undisturbed space of silence. At Hridaya, we refer to it as the background of stillness. And I love the way Iyengar uses the phrase, it's the very seat of consciousness. So also, just going back to what he said, yoga is the cessation of movements in the consciousness. We often refer to this sutra as the cessation of fluctuations of the mind. But at a deeper level, it's movements in the consciousness, in the sense that the consciousness is just following. It's putting its attention on whatever is coming up or whatever is interesting. So it's like there's just this constant unconscious movement of the awareness and the attention that's essentially pulled by our desires and our fears. Some would say that that's a definition of karma, is the unconscious desires and fears that keep us incarnating from lifetime to lifetime. They keep us in a perpetual state of chasing desire and running from fear. And so if yoga is the cessation of the movements of the consciousness, it's this returning of the consciousness to that background of stillness. And so we'll get into that a little more in the next couple sutras, so numbers 3 and 4. But the main thing for this particular sutra, and especially how we apply it to our daily life, is just that we have a practice in which we learn how to bring the mind back, how to settle the consciousness back into a space of stillness, instead of just letting the mind run wild and the attention is constantly pulled from this thing to that thing. So it's a practice. And as you can see, it goes deeper than just the movements of the body or the postures that we place ourselves in. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll see you in part 3. Thank you.